Hello and welcome to Game of Box Office. Today we will take a look at the box office run of Star Wars The Revenge of the Sith. When you want to see the part where we do the battle between Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens, just skip to this point. As always, let's start off with some statistics. Star Wars The Revenge of the Sith was released on May 19th, 2005 in 3,661 cinemas and ran a total of 155 days until the last performance on October 20th, 2005. The film was produced by Fox and Lucasfilm with a budget of $113 million and received a PG-13 rating. The film opened to $108.4 million and finished its run at $380.3 million in the USA and Canada. In addition, The Revenge of the Sith made $468.5 million in the rest of the world, resulting in a combined total of $848.5 million worldwide. Alright, since everybody goes totally nuts because of the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens, we thought it might be the best time to look back on the last Star Wars movie and judge its box office run. As everybody should know, The Revenge of the Sith is the third installment of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and followed A Phantom Menace from 1999 and Attack of the Clones from 2002. We already analyzed A Phantom Menace a few months ago. When you're interested in it, just click on the video that appears now. So Star Wars The Revenge of the Sith had a hard time at the box office. That's for sure. After A Phantom Menace literally buried the franchise's chance of reaching new heights, Attack of the Clones grossed more than $300 million less than A Phantom Menace because Lucasfilm and Fox only showed the digital filmed Attack of the Clones in cinemas, which were able to show the film with digital sound. Attack of the Clones was still far from being well liked by fans, but it got the hopes up just a bit that maybe George Lucas can lift the quality of the third prequel installment. And that's exactly what happened. Star Wars Episode 3 was liked by most critics and audiences. While it was still far from being acclaimed like the old trilogy, it was quality-wise miles above Episode 1 and Episode 2. Also, let's not forget that we talk about the final of the most historic film franchise here. Back in 2005, there was never a discussion about new Star Wars films after Episode 3. The Revenge of the Sith was promoted as the defined final chapter of the saga. Normally, final parts of a movie franchise are always getting a little positive bump. We have seen exceptions in this rule. The last Hunger Games movie as well as the final Hobbit movie grossed less than its predecessors, but basically you can count on that rule. In the case of Star Wars The Revenge of the Sith, that rule totally occurred. It broke the midnight record with $16.5 million. It broke the single day record with $50 million. It tied Spider-Man and The Matrix Reloaded for the fastest movie to cross the 100 million mark in the domestic market, and the first 5-day haul of $158.4 million was the biggest there ever was in the USA and Canada. The opening weekend of $108.4 million was the second biggest opening weekend ever, just behind Spider-Man, but you have to keep in mind that The Revenge of the Sith only did not broke that record because it was released on a Thursday and not on a Friday. If they would have released The Revenge of the Sith on a Friday, an opening weekend of $120 to $128 million would have been safe for sure. The multiplier of 3.51 is pretty awesome, but it is that high because the movie opened not on Friday. But even if it would have opened on Friday, a multiplier around 3 would have happened. The movie only dropped once over 50% on the first 10 weekends, what is a pretty significant feat for such a franchise movie. As you can see, we're talking about Revenge of the Sith in high acclaim. Of course, it would have been incredible to see how Revenge of the Sith would have performed if Episode 1 and Episode 2 were great films, but we will never know that exactly. Maybe we will make a video on that sometimes in the future, but we don't know yet. To sum it up, we have basically not one negative thing to say about The Revenge of the Sith, and for that, distinguish the movie with the grade A-. But, as already mentioned, we want to do one last thing here. When we translate the earnings from The Revenge of the Sith to today's standards, how much would it have grossed and how much must The Force Awakens gross to overtake it? Alright, so when we adjust the ticket prices to 2015 standards, we have to give the Revenge of the Sith gross a bump of 31% domestically and overseas. With that, the movie would have earned $494.7 million in the USA and Canada and $609.4 million in the rest of the world, for a combined total of $1.1 billion worldwide. So far so good. Now we have to convert the gross partially into 3D grosses. At the moment, it looks like 40 to 45% of the gross from The Force Awakens will come from 3D shows. Because 3D tickets are differently more expensive in the whole world, we go with an average bump of 35% for a 3D ticket. Alright, so 40% of the $1.1 billion worldwide gross are about $441.7 million. We take this number, put on the 3D fee, and we have $596.3 million. So the movie gets another bump of about $155 million worldwide because of 3D shows. With that numbers added, we have the Revenge of the Sith at $554.7 million in the USA and Canada and about $704 million in the rest of the world, for a combined total of $1.25 billion. Now we have to reconsider the fact that The Force Awakens is shown in roughly 500 cinemas more than Revenge of the Sith. So for that we add another $77 million in the USA and Canada and another $104 million in the rest of the world. We are aware of the fact that the overseas market evolved immensely in terms of size over the last decade, but we don't know the exact numbers of theaters that shows The Force Awakens overseas. So we are working with a factor of 20% more cinemas in the overseas market, what is in our opinion pretty fair. So the final numbers are $621.7 million in the USA and Canada and about $844 million in the rest of the world, for a combined final result of $1.46 billion worldwide. These are the three numbers The Force Awakens has to battle against, and we think that it's out of the question that Star Wars Episode 7 will crush those numbers. Our upcoming video will be an analysis about The Dark Knight Rises, Star Wars The Attack of the Clones, or a prediction about Warcraft The Beginning. We hope you enjoyed this analysis. If you liked this kind of showdown between two films, let us know and we will do videos in this kind of category more often. Be sure to hit a like and subscribe to our channel. You can also support us on the social networks listed below. See you soon. Bye bye.